Hey, g'day. How you doing? Welcome. What's today's date? 22nd of January 2025. Here we are. It's 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. Traditional time for doing chat with Matt. I'm at the top of the frame. Something like that. Maybe cable management issues. Yes. So, welcome. What do you guys want to talk about? What's going on? Who's in charge? I need to have a bit more drinking. Yeah, I went on a very epic, very challenging tramp, which is a hike or a bushwalk or a whatever, ramble, I think, in some countries, through New Zealand's Northern Tararua Ranges. Just completed on Monday. We went on Friday morning early. 4 full days, 85 kilometres, something like 3,500 metres of elevation and de-elevation according to the map contours. Probably a lot more if we were to track it on ground. Crossed 14 named mountains. Yes, so it was, and quite a bit of it was off trail. Actually, most of it was off trail. So we'll walk, which isn't so bad when you're on the tops, above sort of 1,000 meters. But we also did quite a bit of it off trail up the first ridge, which was torturous to say the least, through the Leatherwood scrub, and that set us back about half a day. So we were half a day behind, which didn't make it easy, but nevertheless, it was awesome for myself and my son Lucas. So a little bit battered, but not too bad today. Recovered yesterday. So that was my that's my immediate history. Definitely got my nature fix. Definitely got my mountain fix. Definitely got enough sun. Because it was most of the time, other than one day when it really clagged in and we got some moderate weather from the east. It was pretty good up there, but that does mean it's hot. It does mean you have to drink a lot, and there's no water sources up there, so it means you have to carry a lot of water, which is and manage your water so that you don't run out. Which is something you really appreciate when it's a real issue. Anyways, I do have something written in ahead from Julie Ray. I just need to find it. There I am. No, that's last time. I can tell because I'm wearing a different coloured t-shirt. I'm just doing a refresh on Facebook so that I can... Okay, there we are on live. Okay, and I'm not seeing my comments. Hey, Michelle. So I do that and hopefully they'll pop up on the screen. Awesome. Hey, Michelle. There's a couple other people watching. I did see some names scroll through. I think M Rose is here and maybe someone else. Why isn't that coming up? Did I not put the... there it is. Okay, yeah, so that's a photo on the notification post. That's where I slept, under that tarp. We were pretty minimalistic up there. That's at 1,400 meters, which is quite high in our part of New Zealand. Obviously, it's above the tree line. And there I am cooking dinner. Julie Ray asked, how to stoke or sustain inner fire when disorientated with sense of place and or passion? Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I think it's really topical and pertinent for right now, because I think a lot of people, and especially this time of year in January, when people feel that they should, quote unquote, shooting on themselves, should be embarking on something new, or at least having some passion for the new year and some motivation, but they feel still quite lost and still quite like things are falling away more than things are building. And while that's kind of a January cycle that I've noticed for many years now, I think it's also in a bigger macro cycle what we're going through right now as well, with this kind of, changeover from Pisces to Aquarius and all sorts of other cyclic changes, that a great deal of society's feeling quite lost right now, and feeling quite a lot of loss right now. Not just lost, but they're feeling loss of things falling away, and it's very hard to stay positive about where we're going. It's very hard to maintain the motivation to keep taking action steps towards a brighter future when you're just not sure, or I think the word disorientation is a very accurate one. You're not quite even sure what direction you should be stepping in. So it's kind of like you don't know you don't know where the path goes from here. You don't know which direction to step in next, and so you're unsure about taking any step. And for myself, my guidance is just step, and any like all roads lead to Rome sort of mentality. As long as you maintain some momentum, you are going to have the experiences that are going to take you forward. In our minds, we can't help, our logical, linear human mind can't help thinking that there's a destination that we're going to that's like a place on the map, B, and we have to walk in the right direction to get there. Good morning, Emily Rose. And we have to walk in the right direction to get there. If we start walking in a different direction, we're not going to get to the destination. And I don't think that's a very accurate analogy for this transformation that we're going through. I think a better analogy would be an expansion where we're in the center and we just need to get to the external edge. And I think even that's incorrect, but just as a difference, it doesn't matter what direction you walk in, as long as you keep walking in a direction, you are going to expand out of the center. A better way of thinking of it, rather than getting to a place, would be we're just accumulating experiences, and it's not even a list that we need to tick off of experiences. It's more or less, it's like time in the trenches. Portals are everywhere too. Exactly, Em. And it's kind of like experiences are catalysts for transformation. Experiences give us opportunities to learn and grow and release things, and to process energy that we're carrying within us. I think we're all carrying a lot of trauma from the past, and when I mean past, I mean a few thousand years of past, of the dark ages and whatnot. Right, we're carrying all of this trauma density, experiences we've had ourselves and experiences we've had through our lineage and our ancestry we're carrying. And to process that, theoretically you could sit and meditate on it all, but most people can't do that. Generally how it happens is through having experiences that trigger it. And so at this time where it's hard, as you know, I'm answering Julie's question, how to stoke or sustain inner fire. It's hard to sustain an inner fire in the traditional sense that you have a direction that you're working towards achieving a goal. I think it's important that you allow yourself to be feeling disorientated and just keep doing things, keep having experiences, keep taking risks, keep trying things without a sense that it should have a particular outcome, without trying to work towards a potential goal. Now, if you do have a goal that feels quite important to you, by all means work on it. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to work on a goal or to have a goal or to have a direction that you're working on, but I'm talking to a lot of us who can't really find clarity around that right now, that it does require some discipline to just keep taking action, even though you're not being driven by the old mechanisms of looking for the satisfaction of achieving a particular outcome, right? The way we've been trained, the way we did it in school, like you work towards the test because you want to get a good grade on the test, because that means you'll have more opportunities for the future, right? You'll get into university, or you'll get into the class you want to do next year, or you'll get some praise from your parents or whatever, right? You'll gain some status or some opportunity. So we've been trained to sort of work towards goals from this idea, to create the passion to do things, or to create the discipline to do things, from the idea that if we try hard, we'll get a good result, and that will give us greater opportunities to be happy in the future. I think we have to let go of that idea and just be willing to find the joy in having experiences in moments, and choose to just keep stepping into opportunities as they arise, even when we're not sure if it's going in the quote-unquote right direction. I think we have to let go of right direction, and let go of this idea that there's one particular outcome, or even if there's several outcomes that are good for us and that we want, or that we're supposed to achieve, and just be willing to keep having experiences that will lead us through this evolutionary process. And I think for many of us, once we get in that state where we're just willing to keep stepping into opportunities, keep stepping into experiences, the direction tends to naturally emerge or evolve from that. And we get segues of time where we are quite directional, or quite passionate about certain outcomes or achievement or goals, and other times where we are more or less just hip-hopping from one thing to another. Em said, so love this. It's like letting magic exist. Yeah, I definitely agree. I could never mentalize or therefore planned heaps of how healing has come into my life. Yeah, exactly. If we were to think that we were supposed to be able to plan out the healing journey that we've walked, we could never have, or like I would never have, if you said 15 years ago, what's your future going to look like, or what would you like your future to look like? It wouldn't look like what I've gone through, and yet I wouldn't change anything. So, but I was willing to take steps as things arose. I started having this weird experience of shaking in my meditations, and I let it turn into speaking light language, and then I let it, myself develop or put out a website and start asking people if they wanted sessions. It wasn't planned, and it wasn't directed. And although I had a strong intentional desire, or a strong desire and intention to help people more, and to find a career path that was more serviceful than what I was doing previously, working in the film industry, etc. I had no idea how that could look. So, but was still willing to take steps, right? It wasn't. So, I guess, Julie Ray, just be okay with the disorientation at the moment. I think it's very, very common that many of us are feeling a little lost and not so directional, and very, very not sure of what we quote unquote should be doing. So yeah, don't fret. And so, how to soak or sustain the inner fire. I think for me, it's about coming back to the basics, and that's working on the inner fire as an entity onto its own. So for me, that's breathing into my solar plexus, like using my diaphragm, visualizing basically a fire in my upper belly, right? Big golden ball like the sun. That's exactly how I see it. And stoking that, right? And that fire is the motivation to do things, right? Our solar plexus is our will and our desire to exist in the world, our confidence in self. M said, for sure, same intentions is driving it, but definitely not my brain. Wonderfully, my brain still gets to learn, but but it's often introspective. It's often in retrospect, mentally. I love it. Like, this is the drive for the fire. Yes. Exactly. It's like being led by the fire rather than led by the mind that knows which direction we should go. So, and that's basically leading into exactly what I'm talking about now, which is this idea of not thinking that the fire should be sustained by a particular mental picture of a direction that you're going in, right? Not a particular goal, or not a particular measurable outcome, that we now want to achieve. So the fire is not driven by the desire for what's that word when you achieve something? satisfaction, right? The satisfaction of achievement. We're not but build the fire based on the fire itself. For me, it's about breathing into that, and it's the essence of being. And when I imagine what's fueling that fire, right, as well as the oxygen that I'm breathing deeply, which is important for fire, we all know that. The fuel that's burning with the oxygen is coming from deep within. Like, for me, I see it all like an effervescence arising from this infinitely deep well that goes down into the depths of the solar plexus. And I know for the logical mind, it's like, well, how do you have infinitely deep within what we consider a finite space of human existence? It's that's it, right? We're not this projection. This is a projection, and so the more that I see that this energy that's arising from within me and burning bright within me is coming from an infinite source that is me, right? And quote unquote source, as an individuation of God, source, universe, I am a holographic image of the infinite power of, or the infinite energy of God. So therefore I have infinite resource of beingness, and I can utilize that to create this fire of existence, this fire of passion, this joy of being, right? It's the manifestation or the exemplification of my essence as a spiritual being. And you don't have to get too caught up with the spirituality of it all, really. To do very well living a very useful life as a spiritual being having a human experience, we are supposed to get quite lost in the human experience. That is by design. And it's completely normal that we spend most of our time identified with the human self and the biology. But you can utilize practices like this, breathing deeply into your solar plexus, seeing this energy rising from within you and burning bright as a fire, feeling that fire, or that sun radiate out through you to energize each and every cell of your being with confidence of beingness and strength and passion, if you like. And then allow that to translate into the motivation, right, to do things, even if you are quote unquote not sure with your mind whether it's the right thing to do or going in the right direction. And you can let go of needing to then measure whether you succeeded in achieving this action step, right? You just take action because it yields wisdom. You don't take action because it's going to build a staircase to paradise at the top, right? It's not like that. We don't need to, people think of this ascension like climbing a ladder, and we need to achieve each level, and we can measure, our level of ascension with all sorts of different metrics, and therefore feel good about ourselves. Ultimately, I don't think that is, for most people, not a particularly healthy way of doing it. Just relax into the magic of life and have experiences that yield wisdom, and just hold an intention that you are being the best version of yourself you can. And when I mean best, I mean most expansive. We can't measure best with metrics of virtue and achievement, but just be happy with the life that you're living. Melina wrote, "Hi, it feels so tense in the body. Can the fluid also be different in the healing process? Example, the urine. I think I went to different healers without staying within. Thank you. Just listening to you makes me relax." Perfect. I'm glad you're relaxing. I wouldn't worry, first and foremost, right? Don't get worried that you've done the wrong thing or something bad's happening. It feels so tense in the body. I think that's very normal as we're releasing all sorts of density. And I think at this time, we are releasing a lot of density, and that's what's leading to a lot of the disorientation that Julie was asking about. So be okay with, what I always keep reminding myself is what I'm feeling is what I'm releasing. And that's not just emotional, that's physical as well, and different sensations in the body, like you're saying, the fluid in the body feels different, I think that's normal states. A lot of people are talking about this process of changing from carbon-based human experience to crystalline-based human experience, and I think that's very reasonably valid, but then some people get far too sort of biological with how can that be, and all the rest of it. How can we change to more of a light body without losing ourselves, or how do we fit into the right? I know it's complicated, but in many respects our human biology is evolving and morphing with this increase of or change in vibration of the energy that we're existing in. And so, as example, the urine is a very normal and effective path of detoxification. And at this time when we're letting go of a lot of toxins, I was talking earlier about the trauma that we're letting go of from what we've been carrying from the past and the past lineage and many thousands of years now, definitely can be coming out physically as physical toxins through the body via the urine. So I think that's quite normal, and I would not worry about it and not get too caught up in thinking that you need to heal something. For me, more and more of my healing journey has been recognizing that I'm not broken to start with. And although there's various levels of discomfort coming through the experience, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's something that, of course, we can manage, and we can utilize various techniques and various healing protocols to help manage the symptomology of what we are healing through, which is a lot of trauma from the past, or a lot of history, really. We're just expanding out of our the history. But we don't need to potentially fix things that are wrong, but rather just manage the process of releasing them so that we can maintain comfort and maintain functionality as we keep progressing. A lot of that can be done with our mindset. And a big part of this journey is letting go of the idea that something's wrong and something needs to be fixed. Because as soon as you make something wrong, you create stress. And as soon as you create stress, you contract. And when you contract around something that's releasing, you slow down the process of releasing. Release happens much more easily in a relaxed field than in a contracted field. That's obvious, right? There's more space for things to flow. And so the more that we can stay relaxed within this process of purification and the various discomforts that come up with that, the more that we can stay functional and a little less uncomfortable in the process. It's about finding comfort within the discomfort, and therefore the discomfort becomes less intense. And it's also about making it okay that various things change and aren't normal. Things change doesn't necessarily mean something's gone wrong. So our urine changes doesn't necessarily mean something bad is happening. Although it could be a sign that, you need some more help. Your body needs some help with certain things. And I'm not saying, put up with everything and don't go and see any form of help, whether it be normal, regular healthcare or alternate energy healthcare. For me, it just comes down to asking, questions internally and looking for intuitive responses. And if unsure, better to get things checked out, but always get things checked out with an open mind, and don't necessarily buy straight into what any particular healer or doctor tells you, because they're only looking at it through their perspective, which isn't necessarily as expansive as your perspective. It's difficult. It is difficult, right? It's difficult for any of us to dance, right? I can't just sit here and say, don't worry about anything. It's all just a purification process, and you actually need some medication because you have, a disbalance in the bacteria in your bladder, and now, quite a bad urinary tract infection that would benefit from some medication to help you through, whether it be herbal or allopathic, whatever, antibiotics. There is only so much our bodies can do energetically, which I don't believe is absolute, but based on our own history and our own programming. We're only prepared to allow the magic to work so much. That's our choice, our own limitations. I believe, ultimately, or in the absolute world, we can achieve anything, but practically, can we stretch ourselves that far? And that's the point. So, hopefully that helps. Sorry, I'm now looking just to make sure I haven't missed any comments. Yeah. So, my friends, it's an interesting time. Big changes afoot, changes in political realms in America and whatnot, all indicating or being part of this process where change, right? It's change, and change is uncomfortable, change is unsettling, change is disorientating. There's a lot of change energetically, and a lot of us feeling changeable or disorientated, even in familiar circumstances, and a lot of us finding ourselves also in unfamiliar circumstances. So it's everywhere, and it really just comes down to managing it, maintaining an empowered perspective, mentality, attitude towards it, and relaxing as best as possible, right? Doing your practices to help you relax. Doing that practice like breathing into your solar plexus to help yourself feel strong, because you won't relax if you feel threatened, right? If you don't feel safe, you can't relax. Very hard to relax if you're not feeling safe. So part of building that fire in the solar plexus, not just to give you the passion to take action, it's to actually feel safe in yourself, right? Fire has always made us feel safe as humans. And building it within yourself is first and foremost to walking in the world with a degree of internal authentic confidence, and therefore the ability to relax into having experiences as they unfold, to letting life flow, to allowing the magic to show up, and getting out of the controlling mind that's trying to restrict everything and keep it all understandable and therefore predictable and preventable and controllable, right? We have to let go of all of that desire to control the shit out of things to keep us safe, because we've recognized that we can't, and if we keep trying, we're going to get more and more stressed. Let go of control. Let go of thinking you should be able to predict. Let go of thinking you should know how and where and when, and all of the directional ideas that we've been trained into, and start following your heart and trusting life to show up and relax into the experience. Michelle said, I know God is a big subject, but on my path I call out to God for help, but I don't really know what God is. Any suggestions? Okay, my perspective of God is the sum total of all of us. God is the collective of every single energy that exists. That's how I perceive God. Right, so I don't perceive it as a particularly controlling entity. I perceive it as an all-encompassing vibration. That's why I keep talking about ourselves as an individuation of that God source or universe, whatever you want to call it. But so yeah, it's a big topic, and it's okay for me calling out to God for help is a little bit what's the right word? Vague, almost. A little bit dispersed. I think it's okay depending on your concept of God. So I prefer to call out to like an angelic helper or a guide or my higher self for help, because that feels, or Jesus, if you've got a Christian background, then Jesus is like the personification of that God in the human form, right? Whereas God is this container almost of all of us, that's how I see it. Now, everyone else, you can have your own perspective on it and different change. But my suggestion would be to develop a relationship with something that you can feel has a bit more personality than God, because God, in my experience, doesn't have much personality because it contains all of us. So it's not an individual experience that we can relate so easily to. It's very hard to relate to the infinite, where it's much more easy to relate to a personification of that that we believe has the ability to help us. So it could be Archangel Michael or any other archangel, or it could be your own guide, or Jesus, or any other ascended master, Master Shiva if you're in, Buddha if you're into, Michelle said, I agree. God just feels like a word. Yeah, exactly. So maybe you would find it more powerful to call out to something that you can relate more to for help, right? Otherwise, your call out to God, it's very hard to feel like it could be answered, which then makes you feel even more helpless or hopeless. So when you are having a hard time and you feel that you require help, I would encourage you to call out to something that you feel more relatable to, or more related to, whether it be your higher self. For me, I call out to Mantara, which is a collective of beings that my higher self is part of, who I obviously have a relationship with because I've channeled them. But it doesn't really matter as long as you develop a relationship with something that you can trust. And to do that, I would encourage you to meditate. Go into meditation, go into your heart, have a little visualization about, opening a space up with the intention to meet a being that you can rely on to help you. That's all you need, an intention just to meet with a being that you can rely on to help you. Get some sort of name for that being that you meet, and then just trust it. Trust it implicitly. That being is going to help you, and it's there to help you. And then when you call out to that being, and you trust that you will be helped. And that's, faith is a big part of moving forward. And some people can have that faith in God, and they've developed that sort of relationship with this concept of God. And there's nothing to say that other people using the term God aren't basically connecting to some sort of personification. They've personified God already in their minds, and that happens a lot, in various scriptures and pathways where God has been personified anyway, and people see it like a old man with a long beard sitting in a cloud, but that's not my relationship with this concept of God, and so I don't use the term God when I'm looking for help. M said, I like to give God, in comma, baskets of emotions I feel I can't deal with when I'm sort of on my knees within it. It's so real for me. The feeling is motherly for me. Visually, I imagine a three-faced image as mother, father, child sometimes. Yeah, that's awesome, Em. So again, it's a personification of this vibration that we feel is helpful, and Mother Mary is another awesome option for looking for help from something that's personified. If you don't feel, the relationship with Jesus for Christians is as easy for you to relax into, then quite often Mother Mary can be a part of it. Or you can ask for both, Mother Mary and Jesus, or some other combination. It doesn't really matter as long as you feel comfortable with it and you choose to trust it. If you're more into the Hindu side, then go for Shiva or Vishnu. If Vishnu's usually a bit softer, Shiva's a little bit more harsh, or Ganesh or whatever, right? There's all sorts of options. In all sorts of faiths and all sorts of traditions and all sorts of histories. There's many, many, many ascended masters and different high powerful angels that we can utilize. M said it's helpful for me, not religious. It's been nice to develop this. Yeah, perfect. And I think that's important. I think what's important is we get out of the idea of what's it should be, right? How we've been trained, how we've been educated to think that this relationship with God or Jesus or Mary or whatever should be, and really trust that we can develop any particular relationship with any particular entity that we want. We're powerful enough to do that, and we can't get it wrong. You can't get it wrong. As long as you feel integral with what you are choosing to do, it's going to work for you. That's the important thing, right? It really comes down to what works for you, and that may mean having to overcome some of your training in what should be and what shouldn't be, and what's good and what's bad. But ultimately, if you can relax into that level of trust with an energy that you develop relationship with, then you will find the help will be available to you. Yeah, M said it is basically. It is. I basically was brought up to reject the concept as crazy, woo-woo, whatever. Laugh out loud. It's been such a journey. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But that's it. That's the journey we're on. Anyway, my friends, I will love you and leave you there and speak to you next week. I will be in Australia, believe it or not. Talking about changeable, we've made some last minute decisions, and we're going to have a look up and down the east coast of New South Wales, mainly up, I think, north of between Sydney and Brisbane, basically, looking for potential properties. So yes, that's what's happening. We're off on Sunday afternoon for 2 weeks, and then we'll be back for a week or so. Then we're down to Stewart Island to deliver a retreat. Then we're back for another couple of weeks, and we're down up to Great Barrier Island to deliver a retreat. Then we're back for a week or so, and then we're off to Peru. And an epic journey around Peru, including Machu Picchu and all of that. So yes, exactly. And what property? We're looking for somewhere to live. Somewhere that we're going to retire to after we finish all of our traipsing around the world over the next few years. So that's that just sprung up, and like a lot of things in our life, when things spring up, we choose to take action. Well, Marie basically pushes me into taking action because I'm far more inert, but she's got the fire, and that's why we make a good team. Anyways, so you heard it here first. That's potentially what's happening, and of course it could change, right? That's the thing, right? We haven't set a goal that we're definitely going to move, and this is what's happening. It's like, okay, this is a potential. What do we need to do to check it out? And there's no point just sitting here thinking that maybe we could. You have to go and have a look. And it's not like we're looking with the expectation that we're going to find something straight away. We're looking to find an area and a community that we could be happy with, and then potentially find property associated with that. Or to go and go, actually, this isn't what we were thinking it's going to be. This isn't going to work for us. We can rule this out for now and look somewhere else, right? But until you take action, you don't know. And so there's no point leaving questions when you can achieve a degree of certainty by feeling an energy. And that's the point. Like, you can look on maps, you can look online at properties for sale and all the rest of it. But until, for us, you go and actually feel the vibration of a place, we have no idea. And it's the same with our retreats. We don't host a retreat in a space where we haven't gone and actually spent time there, because we're not sure if the vibration is going to be conducive to what we want to offer. So that's why we travel to places looking for spaces that feel good to us, aligned with us, so that then we can host a retreat there. Obviously, that's expensive way of doing it, but it's not about the money for us. It's about the opportunity to experience different vibrations and to share that with others, because we get a lot of joy out of sharing and hosting retreats. And so we've just made it all work, so it basically pays for this experience. So that's, as Em said, the path appears as we choose to keep stepping. So anyway, but my intention is that we will do a chat with Matt next Wednesday from probably somewhere around Newcastle, as at a guess, maybe a little further north, maybe Foster, or even further, who knows, Port Macquarie, somewhere around there. We will see. Marie and I used to live in the hinterland of Foster before we came to New Zealand, when we had 2 little babies. Anyway, much love to you all. I will speak to you again soon enough. If you have any questions, comments or concerns, you can reach out. We are available. Much love. Bye for now.